121.003, subparagraph 7, and Texas Election Code section 122.033, subparagraph 4, and express votes that generates ballots that do not reflect the selections of the voter, indicating the machines are likely running uncertified software. These concerns are extremely serious, and we expect immediate action to resolve these issues, including the decertification of Dallas County's voting system equipment pursuant to the Secretary of State Jane Nelson's authority in Texas Election Code section 122.003, subparagraph A. The Dallas County Elections Department should already have a contingency plan in place for the county in the event of equipment failure pursuant to Texas Election Code section 129.056. We expect the Secretary of the State of Texas, Jane Nelson, to protect Dallas County voters from the likely wrongdoing that has occurred with our voting system equipment and use the remedy that is available to us through the power that is granted to her in Texas Election Code section 122.003 alpha. Furthermore, we are very concerned about the fact that we know that according to Texas Election Code, individuals that are homeless can be registered to vote, and that causes a lot of other problems because how do you trace the voter identification cards if they're showing up to church shelters or to soup kitchens or even at an intersection? So we need to look at the registration of those individuals that are homeless, or as some people say, the unhoused populations, who will be going out and picking up these voter identification cards, which will show that these individuals who probably do not have any type of form of picture ID are now registered to vote. The other thing that is a grave concern is something called the Reasonable Impediment Declaration, which basically says here in the state of Texas, you don't have to have a picture form of ID. You can just declare a reasonable impediment declaration which cannot be challenged by a judge or any clerk, and you can show something as simple as a utility bill. I don't think you can get on an airplane at Southwest Airlines at Love Field or an American Airlines plane at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport with just a utility bill. If we're going to protect something in the United States of America, it should be our sovereignty, it should be our children, and it should be our electoral systems. I am joined by Joanne Fleming, who is the Executive Director of Grassroots America, We the People.
Thank you, Chairman West. And I am here today to make it well known that Grassroots America, We the People Political Action Committee supports Chairman West and the Dallas County Republican Party in their search for answers. Let me say that on this issue of the voting machines failing logic and accuracy test, this has implications across the state of Texas. If it happens in Dallas County and it's not reported timely to the Secretary of State, we have every reason to believe that that could possibly happen in other parts of the state. We agree with Chairman West that if we're going to get anything right, it should be our elections. So let me say this about the matter of the voting machines failing test. We're calling today for Secretary Nelson and Attorney General Ken Paxton to work together to find a quick remedy to this and clarity. If there's anything that voters and election officials, election judges, and election workers need, it is clarity before we open early voting next Monday. I want to say thank you to Attorney General Ken Paxton for the work that he has initiated regarding the verification of Texas voter list. On September the 19th, he requested that Secretary Nelson call upon the federal government to help her verify the voter list. Secretary Nelson was sent this information by America First Legal, Stephen Miller, on June the 24th. It took Attorney General Ken Paxton to get Secretary Nelson to call upon the federal government to do its job to help her verify the voter list. So we have a lack of clarity in this situation as well. Governor Abbott sent out a press release saying that the voter rolls had been purged of a number of illegal people who were not eligible to vote in our Texas elections. Secretary Nelson seems to think that this goes on a routine basis, that at the county level, that county election officials are determining whether or not someone who is registered to vote is a legal citizen or not. I can assure you that does not happen. But yet, General Paxton, on more than one occasion, has sounded the alarm about the fact that our voter list, registered voter list, needs to be verified according to federal law. Today, I'm asking for Governor Abbott, for Attorney General Ken Paxton, and for Secretary of State Jay Nelson, who is appointed by the governor, to get on the same page and to provide clarity to Texas citizens before they go vote. Because if there's anything we need, it's clarity at the polls. Another issue that's been in the news quite a lot has to do with the use of temporary licenses. So the fact is, non-citizens are registered in the state of Texas to vote. Yes, they are. So it comes down to this question of clarity at the polls. How do we know they are not able to vote? Some people believe that everyone who is a non-citizen has a photo ID that is called a temporary license. There are non-citizens who are registered, who have driver's licenses in the state of Texas. Let me say this again. There are non-citizens in the state of Texas who have driver's licenses who look exactly like mine and Chairman West, and we are legal citizens. My question to Attorney General Paxton, to Secretary of State Nelson, and to Governor Abbott is this: can you provide clarity to election workers, to voters, how they can best determine at a polling location that someone who is a non-citizen cannot use that Texas driver's license to vote? We need to know what the processes and the protocols are, and they need to be very clear. And I will say clarity means you shall not. We're calling upon them to make decisions about processes that take the law that we have in place and make sure that people who have these driver's licenses cannot use them to vote. Now let's look forward. The State Affairs Committee, the Senate State Affairs Committee, is having a hearing, well, several hearings this week. On Wednesday, they will be taking up election integrity issues. So we are recommending to 3 of the senators who have worked very closely with us, and I want to say a thank you to them, would be Senate State Affairs Committee Chairman Brian Hughes, Senator Tan Parker, Senator Bob Hall. We have let them know that we are looking for this. When it comes to illegals registering and voting in Texas, we need strong enforceable laws with penalties passed, which will do these things: prevent non-citizens from registering to vote. In the March 2024 primary, people who voted in the Republican primary voted 98% that they want proof of citizenship required before anyone can register to vote. We agree with that. So we want non-citizens to be prevented from registering. We want non-citizens to be prevented from voting. We want mandated, timely, and ongoing reviews of the registered voter list to remove non-citizens and other ineligible voters from the voter rolls. We want the Secretary of State required to provide evidence of timely and ongoing voter roll maintenance for the state of Texas, and we want her to report, he or she to report to the Texas Attorney General, the Chairman of the Senate State Affairs Committee, and the Chairman of the House State Affairs Committee for mandatory public disclosure. Mandatory public disclosure. Texas elections need to be more transparent, and we need our elected officials, our statewide officials, to provide clarity for the November 5th, 2024 election. So we today are calling on Governor Abbott, Secretary of State Jay Nelson, and Attorney General Ken Paxton to provide clarity on the issues that we have raised today. Thank you.
I think another very important issue as we conclude this press conference is to make sure that we restore back to the Attorney General of the state of Texas his ability, his constitutional authority to prosecute voter fraud. For whatever reason, the Texas Criminal Courts of Appeals took that away from him and delineated and delegated it down to respective county district attorneys. And I will tell you that here in Dallas County, we have grave concerns that our county district attorney, John Creuzot, would ever look into any of these matters. So first and foremost, let's all get on the same sheet of music down there between our legislators and the government bureaucracy and also our Attorney General, and make sure that we provide the clarity that is necessary for us to have electoral confidence here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. It started working.